Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and another tutorial. Today we're going to work on this cute clutch, granny square clutch. So as always, I don't like to dawdle, so let's get started. Let's go ahead and have a look at our tools. I'm going to use this Caron 1-pounder. It is a category 4. I'm going to use my 5mm hook, some wooden beads, my darning needle, and a pair of scissors. So as you can see, I have 6 granny squares here. One of them I've already put a bead in, and of course I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so I have my darning needle and I have my bead. I will put the beads in the description box where I got the beads from. For the most part, I buy my beads and stuff like that from Amazon. It is a wooden bead. So this is why I left my tail for that middle section. So we can go ahead and use use that tail to sew in our bead. So naturally this is the back and there's your front. You want to go ahead and put your bead on there. I'm going to come through the hole first and then put my bead in. And then go back through the other side. So I came in through one side and I'm going out the other side. And that's it. So just come back through the other side so that you can secure that bead. Now you don't have to add a bead if you don't want to. This is preference naturally. So when you feel like it's secure enough, and right there in the middle, make sure all your yarn is through, flip it over, and then I just like to go back through, pass through the bottoms of those clusters, of those 3 double crochet clusters, and just go around. Okay. And then I'll probably dive off into another section. This is just so that my string is nice and secure. My tail is nice and secure. And I don't have to worry about that bead coming off. Okay. So you're going to do that for all of your granny squares. And when I come back, I'll have them all with beads on them. Don't forget to bind off. Okay, so I have all of my granny squares and we're going to start putting them together. So I have them lined up here, 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. I'm going to go to my first one and insert my hook here into that corner. And then I'm going to grab the top one and add that in there and go ahead and slip stitch. Okay. So now I'm going to make my way across. Go into both of your loops on each of your panels here. So this is the first double crochet of that cluster, and here's your next double crochet of the cluster. Remember, we started off in the corner, so now we're going into the first set of clusters right here. So go ahead and slip stitch into that first section and make your way across, bringing both of your granny squares together. Make sure you're in the correct stitch. You want everything to be nice and even, and make your way across into each of those stitches. So I'm going to keep going across. Let me move this out the way. I'm going to keep going across until I get back to that corner, and then I'm going to grab 2 more swatches. So I'm going to meet you at the end of the row. Okay, so I'm closer to the end of the row. This is my last side cluster right here. Now we're going into our corner. So go right into that next corner. We're just finishing off this last section here. Make a slip stitch. That's the first one. There's the second double crochet. Make your slip stitch. Here's your third one right here. Same thing on the other side. And make your slip stitch. Now we're at that corner. So because we want to incorporate our other 2 uh, panels here. We're going to go ahead and grab both of those pieces, put our hook into that first one, and then into the second one, and go ahead and slip stitch. Now we're continuing on, making our way across. Make sure everything is nice and close together. Go into your first double crochet and make your slip stitch. And that's how you do all of your swatches, all of your granny swatches. You just bring them together like that, and you can lay it out flat so you can see how that's coming out. Let me remove my hook here. So that's what it should look like. If you don't want that ridge on the top, you can do it the other way around. So you can put it wrong side out, and then go ahead and bring it together like that if you want to. But I actually am doing this on purpose because I like the little ridge on the top. It gives it a little bit of depth there. Okay, so just keep doing that. Once you come to the end, do the other section, do your next 3, and go ahead and bring those together. So when I come back, I'll have all six of them put together. So now I'm at that last double crochet here. So I'm going to make my slip stitch in here. And now we're going to make our way around. So now we're going to make some single crochets going around. So go into that first into the middle and make your single crochet. Then you're going to go into each double crochet, each of your clusters, each of those double crochets going all the way around. Oops, I flipped it. So you just keep making your way with your single crochets coming around. Same thing when you get over here, but I'm going to meet you there. So I'm going to keep coming around. Let me turn it this way. I'm going to keep coming around with my single crochets, and I'm going to meet you over here to show you what to do on that side there. Okay, so now I've made my way around. I've made my single crochets, and I'm right here at that middle section. So all I'm going to do is make 2 single crochets right into there so that we can round that corner. Push your yarn to the side because you want to make sure you get into that double crochet there that's on the side, and continue making your single crochets. So as you come around, you're going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to meet you right here. Oops. When you come around, as you're coming around with your single crochets, I'm going to meet you here so I can show you how to attach those bottoms. Okay, so I'm back at the end of the row. I've made my 3 single crochets for that cluster. So now I'm going to go into that next stitch. Remember, these are the 2 panels that are right next to one another. Go into that stitch and then go into your next one with a slip stitch, just so you can bring those together. Now go ahead and continue with your single crochets going across into each of your single crochets, and then again do the same thing there when you get, oops, I got it flip the wrong way. Okay, and then do the same thing when you get here. Go ahead and join those 2 corners together. So now when you're coming down the sides and you get to that little ridge where you have your slip stitches here, you're just going to go right into that next stitch. I've made my last single crochet right here. Now I'm in that middle section, so just make another single crochet to bring it together nice and smooth, and then just continue on. Go into your first double crochet with your single crochet and continue making your way around. Okay, so now I'm getting closer to my end here. I'm going to make my last single crochet in that middle section, and here is my first single crochet that I'm going to slip stitch into. So this is what you should have so far. So now we're going to bind off. And chain. Already chained. Okay. So go ahead and pull through. Now we're going to come back to those edges, but I want to go ahead and work on these side pieces here. So now, just like we did before, have your sides lined up. Go ahead and grab your yarn. Now, right here is your cluster. Go right into that first cluster with your yarn. We're just coming through so that we can attach it. Go ahead and make a single crochet. And now continue on. So now go back into that first single crochet, because remember that's still there. Go in on your other side into your first single crochet. Double crochet. I'm saying single crochets. You're making single crochets into those double crochets. And then just like we did before, go into each of your stitches with a single crochet. Make sure you're looking and making sure that everything is going into the correct stitch. Okay, so just keep doing that. You're going to do that for all of your little middle sections here. Just go ahead, and when you get there, I'm going to meet you right here. Okay, so now I'm in the middle section here, right where we have that row. Go ahead and put your hook into that loop here, and then again on the other side, if I can find it, and go ahead and slip stitch. Okay, and do that again. Make sure your loop is nice and close, and then go in and into the next stitch. And then a slip stitch. And now just continue with your single crochets. So when you get to the end, I'm going to meet you right here to show you what to do from there, right here in this corner here. So I'm at the end of the row here, and there's that last position right here, and I'm going to slip stitch here. And chain one, and then bind off. And pull that through. Okay, so I have all of my middle sections done here, going the long way and across. Now we're going to do a couple of rows of single crochets. So you can pick any corner that you want. I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to put 2 single crochets. Let me slip stitch first, and I'm going to put 2 single crochets back into that same space. And again, this is just so we can have a nice transition when we're coming around, and then make your single crochets. Every time you get to a corner, which is right here, you have 2 single crochets here. Go ahead and put 2 single crochets, and then continue making your way around. You're going to do this for 2 rows. So when I come back, I'll have my 2 rows done. Okay, so here is our project sideways. We're going to go ahead and continue on. I've weaved in all of my ends, so everything is nice and tucked away. So we're going to turn this round, but we're going to make it the wrong side out. Okay, you're going to have the correct side up, and then you're going to fold the bottom portion right where that ridge is where you're going to stop. Okay, right where you have that line of those slip stitches is where you're going to stop. So now you're going to turn your work, and I would rather start from this end and work my way down. Make sure everything is nice and even, and go right into that first stitch. Now there's your 2 single crochets right here, and then so you're going to go into the section where the next single crochet is, not where the 2 single crochet is, but right there on the side. Let me bring my camera a little closer. right there on the side. Get both of your stitches in there and go ahead and pull through. Okay, don't pull all the way through. Come back in again with your needle again and pull through again. Just making sure that that is secure. Okay, and then into the next one. And it's just a simple whip stitch all the way through. So you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Make sure that it's nice and even. Make sure everything is lined up and nice and even. And do the same thing on the other side. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do my other side as well. And when I come back, I'll have it flipped around the right way. So now that I'm at the end, I'm going to finish that off, but I'm not going to pull all the way through. I'm going to put my needle through here so that I can get a nice little knot right here at the end so that we have no holes in there. And go back in again and do it one more time. Loop through. Feed that through there. And go ahead and pull nice and tight. And then go ahead and you combine that off. And I'm going to go a little longer so I can weave it in properly. And then do your other side. So I'll be back. Okay, so I have these done now. I have my sides done with that whip stitch. Very beautiful. I love how it comes out. Nice clean edge. So now let's continue. So now we're going to put some pretty little stitches. Well, we're going to work on our beads right here. And we're going to put a little, what do they call it? A little loop here. So it can secure around that bead so that you can open and close it securely and put whatever you want into your bag and it will be secure. So let's go ahead and turn the work around with your 2 beads at the bottom here and your 2 at the top. This is the flap of the purse or the bag, whatever you want to call it. Make sure everything is nice and lined up. I have a terrible habit of tugging and pulling, and I know I don't have to. But let's go ahead. So I'm going to grab my yarn needle, and I'm going to grab my hook, and I'm going to go on the side, right on the side. So there's 3 single crochets right here. I'm going to go into this first one right next to that bead. I'm going to add my yarn and chain 1, 2, 3, 4. Now as you're chaining, you want to check and make sure. I'm going to do 5 and 6 and then skip that next single crochet and go into the next one with a slip stitch. Now this is where you can test out your loop. Make sure that it is not too tight but not too loose, and that is perfect. It fits right there. That bead fits right in there. So I'm going to remove that, leave it just like this. I might even want to go back 1 if you want to make it a little tighter, but then just keep going across with single crochets until you get to your next bead. So I'm going to keep making my single crochets and I'll meet you right here, right next to that bead. Okay, so I'm at that next bead there. And again, we're going to, let me put my last single crochet here. Now we're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then skip 1, go into the next stitch with a slip stitch. And then continue making your way across with your single crochets. Okay, and it should loop right around that button around that bead very nicely. Okay, again, if you want to use less stitches to go around, you can. So make your way to the end of the row. And slip stitch. And now you can weave that in. Go ahead and bind off. Pull that through. You can come further to the end if you want to, but we're going to cover it up so it won't matter. Not so much as cover it up as we are going to hide it. So I'm going to go into this next stitch here just so I can hide that last stitch. See how nice it just slides right in there and just disappears. Okay, and bind that off. Okay, so you have your buttons here and you have your loops. Okay, let's turn her around. Now we're going to work on the little straps that goes on the side. The straps are not very big. You can make them as wide as you want to. That's up to you. Okay, so let's get a fresh piece of yarn here. And I'm just going to do a simple, some rows of some single crochets, or you can make them half double crochets. It's up to you. I'm going to chain 7, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Skip that first stitch and go into the next stitch with a single crochet. And just make as many rows as you need to. You want to make it as long as you want to, what your preference is. You can make it long enough so that it crosses in front, however you want to do that. So I'm gonna keep making, I can't grab my yarn. I'm gonna keep making my single crochets for as many rows as I need to. I'll let you know how many rows I eventually made. Okay, and I'll be back. Okay, so I have my 72 rows of my single crochets here. I've already bind off. Now I'm going to take and fold it in half. And we're going to begin attaching it to our bag here. So go ahead and turn your bag to the side. Go ahead and put that strap in there. Now, if you want to, you can go through and sew your strap, sew it closed. Okay, but I'm going to attach it first and then I will sew it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there on the side, making sure that everything is nice and even in the beginning. I'm going to grab my darning needle, which I've already threaded. Now we're going to come through the back, and if you want to, you can put your hook in first before you position everything, and go ahead and put it in there. Now I'm on the side stitch of that middle section. That middle section is where you did your slip stitching, when you did your whip stitch on the side. So I'm right on the side of that, and I'm going to pull my yarn through, but not all the way. Still have a little piece hanging out, and then back in right into that middle, right up at the top into that middle. Making sure I'm going into that first row, and then pull through. Now you can go back and forth as many times as you need to, that you feel secure. So back again, you can always look, make sure you see where you're putting your hook, where you're putting your needle, and then go right in, back in on the other side. And then back through this final stitch here, making sure I'm going into that last stitch. Okay, I'm going to come back through one more time, going back and forth a few more times, and then when I come back, I'll be on the other side of the bag. Okay, so now that I have that strap on, I'm going to make my way up the strap. So I went back and forth several times on the inside so that it's nice and secure. And I'm back on the side of the project where I need to sew that strap together. Okay, bring this around so it's okay. So I'm here on the end where that strap is, where I folded, where I made that fold, and I'm at the beginning. So I'm just going to go into each of my single crochet rows with a whip stitch, and just you can use your finger to guide you, making sure that it's nice and even, and then just keep whip stitching across, going into every single crochet row. And when I come back, I'll be done and I'll show you what the bag looks like from there. All right, so here she is on the table now. We can see it a lot closer. We have that strap there and those buttons in the middle of those granny squares. So I want to thank you for watching this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave me a comment. It helps with the algorithm. Thanks for watching. Come back for the next tutorial. Bye-bye.